Oh, their faces. Oh, snap. KO. Hi, Pink Ranger Gamer here. Welcome back to another Notorious PRG reaction video with special guests.
I'm Bluebonnet.
And I'm Treebeard.
We are back with another Vinland Saga. We are in episode 4 now of season 1, and Blue is going to give us a rundown of our previous episode.
Yeah, so in season 1, episode 3, titled Troll, we discover that Thors is referred to as the Troll of Yom, and so kind of hints at like a neat backstory there of him being just kind of this like elite strongman force. He ends up agreeing to set sail to war after being kind of forced in by Floki and the Yom's Vikings. Upon preparing for setting sail and getting off onto the sea, they find that Thorfinn has secretly stowed away on the ship, kind of throwing a wrench into the plans that they had. And then as they get to a stopping point on their journey to take a break, they get pinned in and come across some pirates who are hunting down Thors. So it kind of hints at a whole idea of upcoming violence and shows that it also explores Thor's kind of dissonance with war and really not liking violence. We talked a lot about his kind of pacifism, so it explores that, but also the idea of this kind of upcoming violence, this upcoming war that's being kind of set upon him.
Absolutely. As always, the entire series of Vinland Saga, Blue and Pink, both of us, we are completely new to it. So this is a first reaction video for the two of us. Treebeard is our spoil-free guide for us as we get into the meat of the show. And for our very indelible pinks, our VIPs, that's tier 2 Patreons, they can see our episodes 1 full week early. There's a link in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. So you guys, we're gonna get into it, but don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications. But let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, their faces. Ooh, that crunch sound was not pleasant.
What the hell is he? Shit!
Just having a little seizure.
That's a delayed response.
Wow.
Wait, is he hurting his own people?
That's what I was saying, to grab his own men.
It's going
He
insane.
basically just took the Viking equivalent of PCP.
We have to stop him.
Is he the guy who had the mushroom?
Yeah.
Just run. There's nothing we can do when he's like this.
Stupid.
Earth?
Oh, literally.
You must have eaten the berserker mushroom.
Berserker mushroom. Just say no to drugs, kids.
Guy looks like a troll.
KO.
He took down a monster of Yom.
Troll of Yom.
To the next ship.
Not to.
Oh. Nope. I guess it wasn't KO.
Also not to be underestimated.
They're less valuable if they get beaten up too badly, so just be careful.
I was about to say, what do they have of value, but I guess they think the teenage boys are valuable.
Boys want to play with us.
Plus, weapons and armor are valuable.
Did you see that, guys? I don't think they have very good weapons. You know, that's like level 1 in most video games is 4 weapons. Wooden shields.
Thors!
Oh. And sheathed the sword. Oh, did you see that little hair flip?
Thorfinn in the back is just so lit up.
Leave now, and I will spare your lives.
Oh, he's way too excited for that.
I like how everyone's just so like, oh my goodness, look at Thors. But then he's just like, oh, I have to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
Thors is the only one capable of that level of violence. He's the only one not excited about it.
Yeah. I can't imagine what he's had to see to get to that point. Like, just the life to live to get to that level.
I mean, I think that's what you want. If someone has, like, is able to push the button on the nuclear weapons, you know what I mean? That's the person who you want most conscious of, we shouldn't be doing this. And they must have, there's so many cuts in this. Oh, there's the berserker stream. There's so many cuts in this OP. Like, they must have spent so much time making it. Shout out to whoever had to edit that.
Pirates, take your leave. None of you here could defeat me.
Oh, snap.
We're the ones with the high ground. So why are they stalling like this? Thors is an amazing man.
I mean, yeah, you do have the high ground and the arrows, like,
Warships by himself.
kill him.
We should
quickly.
go fight with him. Hold your tongue. He doesn't need amateurs.
Right.
Thors has the most experience with this type of situation. We're nothing more than a bunch of children. We have to let him handle it.
So has this guy seen him fight a bunch before, I guess?
He probably has just heard enough stories. He's old.
Suppose they're not the type who will leave just because I told them to. The archers
And
above
he's an
don't seem like they'll
experienced
tire. Roughly 30
explorer
men
who's,
ahead.
seen a bunch of his men die. If he says we need to play this smartly and he trusts someone else to be the leader, I think you should listen.
I can manage, but
Oof.
30 people? Not a problem for me, but everyone else?
Yeah, they really will just get in his way.
if you win, you can have whatever you want. If I win, you and your men withdraw immediately. If you choose to decline, then you'll be losing at least 3 times as many men, only to gain 12 slaves as your prize.
Did Vikings have duels? I know the English did.
Can I ask you a question?
No, I mean, any culture that had a sense of honor in battle would often respect a one-on-one.
Each of you needs to move back to the ship's bow.
Right.
I don't know, I guess I didn't really think Vikings and holding to their word, that kind of sense of honor.
I as well.
They're more the raping and
Smell the
pillaging
scent
culture.
that emanated off of you.
Right.
Yeah.
But they didn't promise to not do that. So it's not that they're not keeping their word.
Father's a better man than some dirty pirate like you! He could take down bad guys without ever even breaking a sweat, understand?
Oh, kid.
See your son?
Come on. No.
Yeah. Way to identify yourself as a potential victim. Good job.
Oh.
It's shallow.
Has been cut like that so many
I know,
times.
yeah.
If you remember when he was blacksmithing earlier, he's got scars all up and down his chest.
Everywhere.
Sorry, Askeladd. I can't hold back.
I'm happy to hear that, Thors. Believe me.
His iris is so small. It's weird.
Beady eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Seem
Evil.
sneaky.
Yeah.
This isn't looking very good for Askeladd.
That's it, Father! Show that man who's the
Die
strong...
instantly, which makes him doing pretty well in comparison.
I'm sure he's got his name for reasons as well.
It won't hold up much longer.
Makes sense. Chip it all up.
Oh, no.
Then I can read the arc of his attack.
That's it. A wide swing.
Ooh.
He got me. He was just waiting for that last swing I took at him.
He made himself bait.
Mm-hmm.
You won, Father!
The fact that he even didn't kill him, even though he has every right in the world to.
Mm-hmm.
You do know I'm their leader. That's one thing I can't say in front of my men.
Keep to your word.
What's the matter?
Then you
Do
can
it
technically
already.
only lose
The only
if
way this
surrenders.
duel can end is if one of us dies.
I think he's figured out that Thors doesn't want to kill anyone.
Yeah.
My head's throbbing. What's this? Seems like I've missed something.
Just a little bit.
Do you want to become our leader, Thors? Nah, I'm just kidding. Come on, nobody's laughing. That was supposed to be fun.
Okay, I have a prediction. I think they're gonna leave it on a cliffhanger, and they might do like the Taylor Swift, where track 5 is gonna be the most emotional, and I think that's when we're gonna lose Thors.
Especially with a straight face!
So we know what's coming. Oh,
I can cut his head off in one stroke! You! Use the sword! Hurry the hell up!
is that Druggy?
Askeladd,
I
bastard!
think his name is Bjorn.
I don't care about his name. I think he's Druggy.
By Odin's beard, are you soft? You actually thought for 1 minute I'd play by the rules?
The Vikings don't care.
To see firsthand what all the Troll of Yom fuss was about. It was fun, I'll give you that much.
Kill him. Don't kill in real life. Now kill him. Kill both of them.
His weakness is his trust in humanity, unfortunately.
It's also his strength. Can be both.
You've broken the sacred code of the duel. I am the rightful winner of this battle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he does not care.
What did he throw in the water? Was it his sword or was it Askeladd's sword?
Askeladd's swords. Thor's sword broke.
Is Thors the troll?
He had to have known they were up there.
Mm.
And Leif, I have a favor to ask of you.
Oh,
Because the death of a man like that is worth 100 young fools.
No, you don't get to say that. You're the one who killed him.
Why did you die?
That's such like a
He's so strong.
how guys want to go out. And
Why did you?
him saying goodbye to his son and be like, I'm glad you were here. No.
Does it mean?
He would have been so much healthier if he said goodbye at home.
That'd be the truth.
Go scar him for life.
Why did I have to?
well, it shows in the atrocities of fighting now. Makes him question the love for it.
No, we know because it's gonna be a guy show and he's gonna go out and become a warrior himself. Like, come on.
I'm gonna kill you!
Dang.
Okay, so a true warrior has passed away.
That was heartbreaking.
Rest in peace, Thors.
It's one of those things. I think he knew there was no good outcome to that situation. He just had to try for the only one that maybe would be okay. But Askeladd was there to kill him and wasn't going to respect any other outcome.
Even if he fought, yeah, it seems like undoubtedly at least one of the pirates would have gotten one of his people. And
Mhm.
clearly just like it's unacceptable for any amount of harm to his men, which is great, but also just like, yeah, like, it'd be great to see if like they could all get up together, but probably knowing that was going to happen.
I think it's multi-layered because he knew his death was coming with the Yams Vikings, period. Like, so he knew like the end of the journey, like he would have to, he was planning to abandon his men anyways. They
Right.
wouldn't be sacrificed. So this was just an early exit, but like he knew it was coming up. So it wasn't like, oh, he just, like his life was drastically shortened. Like he was going to have to sacrifice to protect the village, himself to protect the village from the Yams Vikings. And this was just a earlier exit. He had to use his head and then his skills, try to figure out a way to, and he was able to convince the leader to do the duel, Askeladd.
Save as many lives as possible.
Mm-hmm. From either, battle or slavery. Still think Askeladd was a coward. He should have just stuck to the he was dishonorable. He should have stuck to the terms of the duel. But I mean, that might have been accurate because I'm not sure how many Vikings would actually, or just people in general
being
in
a
that time.
pirate
Yeah.
too, like
A
because he's not
Viking
even just a regular
But a
Viking.
pirate.
A pirate. I mean, there's no code.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this out for our Pinkling Power Poll of the week. Leave it in the comments. Who's your favorite character so far? We're 4 episodes in. If you've already read the manga or seen the both seasons of the anime, don't do spoilers. So be spoiler free. But so of the 4 episodes so far, who's your favorite character? Let me know in the comments. And I'll leave that also to throw that to Bluebonnet and Treebeard. Who's your favorite character so far?
Oh man, that's tough. Treebeard, you might have more of an answer quickly.
Obviously, having seen the whole thing, I've seen more of the characters. So I'm probably going to say Thorfinn, just because as the central character, he gets just the best character development. He's got a really good character arc. But I can't say too much because I know
You know so much more.
and so I can't really explain like favorite characters without like spoilers or anything.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I feel like it just has to be like Thors and like Thorfinn. I mean, they're like main developed characters obviously so far, and Thors is incredible, but obviously like he's dead now. Rest in peace. So, but I like Thorfinn. I'm excited to see like where his story goes because clearly like he's gonna have a lot of like philosophical questions at the core of like his character. Just a lot of what we talked about the whole time of just the idea of like pacifism or being warfaring and like lines between the two and how you fall on whatever side of the spectrum or if there's a spectrum. And so it'll just be really interesting. So sad seeing Thorfinn have to experience so much pain.
Yeah.
So it'd be really interesting to see like what that does to his character. Like now that he's seen what his dad was talking about, his dad is like, no, this is not good. Like this is not some fun like little kid's dream. Like this is not good stuff. While he's having a dream back there. But yeah, so but now kind of seems like maybe somewhat that turning point of like, okay, gonna get into a dark mode now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they showed us so much character depth, and it's just so dynamic. Thor's such a good dad. You know, he's had a couple father-son talks with Thorfinn that have been, listening, but also just, like he gets down on his level and just speaks to him from the heart and just have been really good. So it's going to be hard to let that go. We'll have to go through a grieving process together. So yeah, I think he's definitely been my favorite so far. But Leif Erikson has some like grandpa energy with his stories, and then he just gets funny. But he also has moments of like leadership within the village, so I like that. I think he's well-rounded. Haven't really felt any fleshed out, well-rounded female characters yet. So I'd like to see some of that energy somewhere. But yeah, so as far as characters, I think it'll be fun to rank the episodes. It'll be easier if we start now while they're fresh, and then kind of make like a tier list, kind of like rank them in order. And it'll be easier to do now, and then we can see where that leads us at the end of this season. But if we start now, then at the end we'll be like, what happened in episode 4? Like, So last episode, Askeladd was hired by Floki for the 10 gold. The daughter did have some suitors. Thor plans to stop in Norway to leave the 5 men, including Ari. Thors was rowing 5 versus 5 men. Helga, the only time she was angry was at the birth of the first child because he was complaining and asking for a boy. And we learned that Thors was the troll of Yam. Episode 2 was called Sword. That's when he had the really good talk with Thorfinn about you have no enemies, no one has enemies, and no one deserves to be hurt. That was probably my favorite father-son talk. Askeladd we first introduced at the very end. That was the cliffhanger. He was hired to kill Thors. Floki came back and was talking about a war is building, and so we need you. And like the overall message was like, you're not no use if you're not strong. And so the men started preparing for war. And then the first one, of course, when we were introduced to all the characters and it started with the really big battle, and Thors abandoned that way of life. So if we had to rank them in order, which so far would you say is your favorite of the 4?
I might have to say this last one was my favorite. I just feel like it had the most going on in it. Probably big, like most emotional impact on me. Just a really like core episode.
Yeah, this last one is a very central episode to like Thorfinn's character.
Oh,
Obviously Thors, but
Well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, obviously, like it's catalyst for character development. I think it's definitely big plot building, and so it's number 2, sword, with the talk of like you have no enemies, no one has enemies. That the pacifism and the character development of Thor's. But it also showed the contrast because that was when Thorfinn injured his friend and was kind of going wild. And that's that one, honestly, is probably of the 4 was probably my favorite because I think that's been a central theme of all of them is like the contrast of like the desire for adventure and heroism and, you know, what it means to be a Viking versus Thor's view of like letting go of the violence and, you know, the desire for peace. What about you, Treebeard?
I'd have to put 2, 3, and 4 all right up at the top because each one sets up one of the different central themes of this show. The second episode sets up the pacifism and Thor's belief in that, you know, no one deserves to be hurt, no one has an enemy. The third episode sets up a lot of the sort of almost political drama between the Vikings and each other and sets up the war going on and a lot of that. And that becomes a very central part of the show. And then this episode that we just watched sets up Thorfinn's quest for revenge, which is very, very central. And so 2, 3, and 4 are just here are the pillars of the show. And so I think each of those is top notch at delivering that and just central to the message. The first episode is very important as well for just setting up characters, but
yeah.
It's more set up.
Well, and it does a really good job to discuss like first episode of a series, first episode of this season has such a hard job because you have to set up the entire plot of a season. Like, where are we going? As well as like the episode plot and the season plot, the series plot. And I think it nailed it on the head. We got to get into the world building a little bit more once we got past that. So it's I'm not saying it's not a good episode. I'm just saying like we got to get a little bit more in the meat and the potatoes of, you know, in 2, 3, and 4. Well, this was really helpful. Thank you, Treebeard, for making them all equal. So what do you think a true warrior means, the title?
I think to me, it seems like kind of a theme with this show is instead of like a true warrior in some of the like barbaric Viking sense where like they would define it as like someone who lives and dies by the sword. I think that the show is kind of playing off of this theme of a true warrior being someone who lives by their morals, someone who like knows who they are, knows what they believe, and they live it out, and they're like seeking to defend good things. Like with Thors, he's a true warrior in the sense that he's an excellent fighter. He's, you know, excellent in combat. But really what makes him, I think, is kind of playing to of a true warrior is that he fights for what he cares about. Like now, like, you know, he's very like pacifist, doesn't think of anyone as like his enemy, doesn't want to hurt people. But like when it comes down to it, he's willing to defend his people in the best way that he knows how. And so, you know, even though he doesn't want to have to hurt anyone, he doesn't want to have to fight anyone, you know, is the kind of this true warrior by like protecting all his people on the ship and trying to use his skills to the best of his ability to protect his son, to protect his people, you know, lives by kind of the code, like the code with the duel. If he wanted, he could just, you know, chop the dude's head off and whatever and just like leave behind his pacifism, leave behind the whole idea of like trying to do as little harm as possible. But even like up to the end, he basically just sacrifices himself in order to try to protect everyone as much as possible. So it kind of seems like true warrior is this idea of a code, a morality, and like defending what is honorable.
I think that's fantastic. Like Thor said, a true warrior doesn't need a sword. And it goes back to the very first episode with the runaway slave. He housed the slave. He, you know, tried to, it was unsuccessful, nurture him to health. And when the slave owner came back and he was like, but he's going to die. Like, there's no purpose taking him back home. And he's like, he has to be an example. He has to be tortured as an example to other slaves. And he gave some of his cows or maybe sheep and way more than was technically like the worth of a man. Not that humans are worth trading. They're not objects. But like
just in their eyes, yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point you mentioned like he's huge, like he could take on every single man that this guy brought, and obviously we've seen in this episode how much he could do damage.
And really, probably not even. I mean, the whole idea was him holding back that.
And that's exactly what it is. Like you said, like a true warrior is the code. So he stuck to his moral code of, even though no one in town would have protected a runaway slave, like he was like, no, this is what's right. This is what it means to be human and take care of others. And I'm still going to stick to my pacifism. Like, I'm not going to attack these people in order to protect him. I am going to use kindness to them as well. And I'm going to use I'm going to use my mind to figure out a solution that uses, protects him, but also uses nonviolence against these people. And he was successful. I
gotta say, I really appreciate like the way Thors was done with his pacifism, with this like last episode and kind of episode before, of just, I think sometimes like when it comes to showing like pacifism, and sometimes this is like the approach of some like extreme pacifists, but like it's truly just like extreme pacifism to the end, to where they really just end up hurting others. Because like you can argue, like, so if Thor showed up and was like, oh, they like want to take us, well, I don't want to hurt anyone, and I'm going to live to like my pacifism, so I'm not going to do anything, and I'm just going to let them overtake us. And like that really is just not helping anyone. Like if he were to have that approach, it's like you can argue that like he's not being pacifist ultimately, because he is resulting in harm of people through that action. So I like that like they kind of bring out this whole idea of more just self-defense along with like pacifism, like, and so he
a last measure.
And so like he does actually protect his people, protect his son, like does what he can, rather than just being like, oh, well, because I don't want to protect them because my morals, he sees the whole background of his morals. Like it's not just a code to be a code, but a code with reason, a code with a purpose. And like the purpose is to care for his people and to do what right he can. And right is protecting your people. And he tried to protect the others as much as possible as well, not doing excessive harm.
With intention. So, recap of a true warrior. Thors and his men were ambushed by Askeladd's men. And in order to save his men, he agreed to a duel with Askeladd, and he won! We were very excited and impressed with Thor's battle prowess. However, Askeladd, that darn pirate, he betrayed the terms of the duel, and ultimately Thors did sacrifice himself for his son and for his men. And so we will see next week what it means as Thorfinn, with those eyes full of vengeance, is now with Askeladd's crew, and what will happen next week. We'll find out soon. Thank you for watching another episode of Notorious PRGs with reactions with special guest stars.
I'm Bluebonnet.
And I'm Treebeard.
And don't forget, you can watch the next week 1 week early over on Patreon, and you can spend time with us on the other streaming service. And until next time, I'm Pink Ranger Gamer.